meeting of the Madison Select Board to order on Monday, July 11th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let the roll call show all selectmen are present. Consent agenda warrant number 45, 613, 2022. Number 46, number 627, 2022. Number 47, 627, 2022. And number 48, 630, 2022. Payroll warrant number 26, 630, 2022. And number 27, 77, 2022.
Make a motion to accept the AP warrant and the payroll warrant.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to accept the warrant and AP warrant and payroll warrant as read. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. To approve a quitclaim deed for 20 Naomi Avenue.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is from 2013. The town foreclosed on this property in 2013. Shortly after foreclosure, the payments were made, and so it was deeded back to the person. They can't find this deed on the registry of deeds, and the individual is trying to close and sell this property. So to make that happen, you need to issue a new quitclaim deed. So I need a motion to that effect.
All right.
I have a motion, approve a motion for the quitclaim deed of 20 Naomi Avenue.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for to authorize a quitclaim deed for 20 Naomi Avenue.
Just so everybody knows, all the taxes are paid. There's nothing outstanding on this.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries.
Top line, Tim.
Wherever your name is, sir.
All right. Letter D, acceptance of the meeting minutes of June 27th, 2022.
Motion to accept the minutes from June 27th, 2022.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve to accept the meeting minutes of June 27th, 2022. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. Old business. Mrs. Webb?
I have none.
Mr. Gopi?
No.
Samantha? Mr. Moody?
Yes.
What's that? Do you have one? Okay.
I have.
What do you got, Bob?
Tim, question for you. Are you familiar with this federal money program that's coming out for individuals that are over 65 years old to help with their taxes, and their taxes cannot be gone up?
I am somewhat familiar with it. I was going to mention it in the items of communications.
Because I guess August 8th, the state's going to take it up also?
Right. I'm not familiar with it being a federal program. I know that a program was passed by the Maine legislature this year
Okay.
that goes into effect in August.
Okay.
Can we move to items of communication? You might be able to explain a little bit more. Are we okay with that? Good, okay, all right, so let's move to items of communication. Mr. Town Manager,
All right.
anything on taxes?
That was a good segue there from Mr. Moody. So the, I think it was LD 279, there's a article in the weekend's paper about it that's got a lot of people's attention. In fact, I forwarded an email from another town manager to Mr. Vinziano, from another town manager who had got 10 phone calls at his place today. We haven't received any calls on or any inquiries yet. Maine Revenue Service got dozens of calls today, because this is one of those well-intentioned bills that comes from the legislature, and now the municipalities have to scramble to put it together. But essentially the intent is that a person of a certain age, over 65, if they can prove that they've lived in their home for over 10 years with a homestead exemption for over 10 years, then they would qualify to apply to the state to have their taxes held at whatever rate they are currently. And then if the municipality's tax amount goes up, then the state will reimburse the town for the difference. But to that individual, it'll stay. All the funding has not been worked out from the state, how to do this. Main revenue's not ready. So they hope that by, where are we? Yeah, probably about 30 days from now, on August 10th, Main Revenue hopes to have all the forms to give to the municipalities, and we hope to get a training from Maine Municipal on this. Surely our assessor and I have talked about this because we've known it's coming. But I don't know what kind of response it's going to be. Because if you're able to hold the tax amount steady, then there's really no advantage to it. If taxes start spiking, certainly it is an advantage to a senior person to have that threshold held for as long as they own the home.
There was some part of it that stipulated that the reason that this was somewhat initiated is that the people on Social Security, that Social Security hadn't gone up
Right.
at all, but the taxes have gone up, and to help those people to keep up with the times, they were gonna freeze their tax levels.
Right.
That's about all I got of it.
Yeah, and we're still learning the process, so.
We also have to figure out if you have to apply every year, and that's one of the things that they're gonna look at. One thing that I see as being a positive maybe is that that we have a lot of people on our tax roll that have not applied for the homestead exemption.
Right.
So maybe that might get them thinking, I mean, and you should suggest it to people if you talk to them, because we do have quite a few that are, for whatever reason, not enrolled in that. So that'd lower their taxes by about $400 or $500, I believe.
Yeah.
So, and we're just gonna get information, that's coming through, and everybody's kind of stunned by it, I believe.
Yeah.
And Shirley was also stunned by it a little bit.
Yeah. So well-intentioned ideas from the legislature, just takes a while for us to figure it all out. We were talking earlier about tax lien notices. Those went out last week for unpaid 21 taxes. We issued 249 notices, which is fairly low compared to the last couple of years. And really, if you think about it, out of over 3,000 tax accounts, that's not bad. That means basically 90% of everybody in town is paying their taxes. A lot of these notices go to folks that just for whatever reason forgot to pay their second half, and so I expect them to come in. We'll be leaning those properties that don't pay probably the first week of August. Tax assessors meeting, the Board of Assessors, we talked about this last time. We are going to do a 4 o'clock meeting in the afternoon of August 1st. So that's going to be a meeting to discuss the mill rate. Here's what we're proposing to do this year between Tammy and Shirley and I. We've always run into a snag whenever we try to get the mill rate approved by the board and then make it fit in Trio. So we're going to have a discussion on the 1st, give you all the figures of the valuation, where we stand, and show you what the mill rate would be with this much overlay. And then the board will decide this is where we want the mill rate to be. But you're not going to set the tax rate that night. That will take case in the afternoon on the 1st. Then it'll allow a week for us to get everything in Trio, get all the documents printed, everybody's on the same page, and then on the 8th, at your regular selectmen's meeting, on the 8th of August, then you'll sign the papers and commit taxes. So we're kind of trying a new way of doing it this year to make sure that what you want is what we can actually get done in Trio. So that's what's coming up as far as assessors.
We've always been in a rush to get to that point because we've always been late in August.
Right.
Trying to get it done, and so we have a little bit of time, so we might as well take it.
Exactly, yeah. So, last thing on the communications is I put these pictures out there on your desk. These are murals. The Westernset Art Council. Many of you know John Harlow that works here in this building. He's the president of the Westernset Arts Council. They were the ones that commissioned the murals in Skowhegan. If you have seen them on Skowhegan Savings, and the Height family of dealerships has these basically 3 panels of plywood, 4x8, that are created into these murals. So they were quite successful with those and pleased with how they came out. So what they did what they would like to do in Madison is have similar murals, and they're asking if the board would be interested in allowing them to utilize this wall of the old Flint School on the outside. So these murals would be visible on the south side of the building for people traveling toward Father Wall Road. And so they decided that they would not be the ones to decide what these images would be. So they reached out to the Four Directions Development Corporation, which is the representation of all the indigenous peoples in Maine. So this corporation put out an RFP for these murals, they reviewed them all, and this corporation has said, these are the ones that we want. And these are the artists that we want. So I told John, I said, you know, I will bring it to the board, but make sure that these pieces of art are vetted so that the community understands that these were recommended by Native peoples. So I bring it to you if you want more information, if you want to make this an agenda item on an upcoming meeting, we can certainly talk about it. What the West Somerset Arts Council is asking for is that wall space.
So, I don't see anything here that's controversial, so, you know, see water and fish and wood and I don't know exactly what the faces are in the middle, but.
So they're not talking about one or the other, they're talking about putting both.
Right,
So,
right.
and John gave me lots of information, but there's artist statements for both of them that kind of explain a little bit more about why they did this particular concept. So I'd be glad to share more information if you'd like it.
So is it gonna be on a rotating basis type of thing, or this will be here until at some point they'll change something?
Well, and that's the same thing with Skowhegan. Obviously, I don't know how long they're intended to be up there. They're supposed to be, you know, created in such a way that they can weather. So.
Well, I'm okay with it.
It's kind of funny that they're willing to do something like this when for years they attacked the town of Skowhegan with their artists,
Right.
you know, drawings and all that stuff, and in the schools and everything. You know, when are they gonna change their mind and come back and say, tear it down?
Well, and that's why I asked John to make sure it was vetted, and I think that's a question maybe we can ask that corporation that put this together, because they, you know, I think part of the issue is if a certain group of people feel like they're not included in the decision-making process, that can make them upset. So we're asking them to be a part of the decision-making process.
I just don't want this town to get
Exactly. Black eye.
involved with all the problems that Skowhegan was
Right.
involved with, and that has been there since Moby Dick was a tadpole.
Right.
So, have the local parties been,
So there's an individual, and you always remember his name because it was the same name as the town manager, only reversed.
Right.
Barry Dana. He was head of the Penobscot
he's part of this?
area. He has been part of this vetting process. He told John that he wasn't really interested in the murals, but he didn't have any problem with them. So he has been very vocal about things in Madison in the past, especially the Old Crow band that used to play in the Madison Anson parade. John did have about an hour-long conversation with him.
So it sounds like everybody's on board with that.
Yeah.
Would we like to make a vote or a motion? Put the two murals up?
It's
Or do you
really,
just wanna say,
it's really up to you. If you feel like the consensus is that it's okay, then we'll proceed with it. If you want to have it as an official motion and a vote, so it's in the record, that's fine as well.
Tony?
My concern is that before I'm gonna vote on it, I want somebody of this indigenous group to convince me that it's gonna be okay and that down the road, we're not gonna go through a take it down situation. Because they change their mind quite often.
Good answer.
Yeah, I think Ron is right that maybe there needs to be an agreement with some of the people involved that if it's a controversial issue, they just come and take them down.
So why don't we put it as an agenda
Yeah.
item at the next meeting or in August, and we can get John and whoever else.
Yeah.
And I really don't have a problem with it, but we'll, as long as everybody agrees to it, that's fine with me, but. So go.
Yeah, these, I believe these are gonna be painted
Painted on plywood.
on plywood.
That's
and other-
attached to, they're not painted on the wall, they're on plywood, just like the ones in Skowhegan are on plywood.
This one's a wood burning.
Yeah. All right, so we'll schedule for sometime in August maybe, or,
Certainly will.
okay. All right, is that it, now, man?
For communication, yeah.
All right. New business, you have the sheriff's department head report, you have the sheriff's department report, and we do not have a fire report, and we have our road commissioner.
Yeah, not a whole lot to report. We were closed last week. Our annual 4th of July week shut down, and all the other guys have been on vacation for the last week. We did rent a machine to mow the roadsides, which got taken care of week before last. Other than that, that's about it.
When will they start paving?
Sometime the end of July, 1st of August, whenever we get some roads ready.
Any questions?
Yeah. Are you able to get any feedback at all on help?
I got one application today, and that's it. It's gonna be running the paper for the next 3 weeks on the weekend, and it is online. Hoping to get a few more calls, some interested parties, but that's gonna be part of the discussion with Tim, Tammy, and I tomorrow about wages.
All right.
I would just like to add into the minutes that last week I had a conversation with the sheriff, and we had lots of things to talk about, especially after the citizens' concerns that were mentioned. And so he is very much in favor of meeting with folks in the community and giving them resources about a neighborhood watch type program. So I've shared emails back and forth with the person that was here expressing the concerns of the group and the sheriff and Chief Mike Mitchell. And so that seems to be heading toward a meeting between them and some concerned citizens to see what action they can take. To one of Mr. Moody's concerns last week or last meeting, we've added a new list of places to visit while you're in Madison if you're a deputy. So we've added the ball fields and the boat landings and the playgrounds and that sort of thing, because as this new model comes into place, you're going to have more and more deputies that really aren't as familiar with Madison as the ones that are always dedicated to them. So they've updated that list, and we can continue to modify that list between the town office and the sheriff's office. So if you have more places that you'd like them to frequent more often, we can add that. Staffing is always going to be an issue and continues to be an issue. He has not implemented this new model yet because he doesn't have the number of deputies to do that. He still has 4 openings throughout the whole county. You had made a question, Mr. Moody, about registered sex offender information. The answer I got from the sheriff is most of that is available online now, and once a year they issue lists on paper to all the municipalities in the county. And so it's not done as frequently as it used to. And I still haven't seen Madison's for this year.
But when we do receive it, can we post it?
We're gonna post it, right,
Okay.
yeah. That's my plan. That's about it, so.
All right, number 2, discuss economic development TIF budget.
So in your packets, you should have received this TIF worksheet. The colored side on the left are the fixed assets or the fixed costs. And these are the ones that we usually run to the town meeting to offset taxes. Just reiterating my philosophy on that. Back in 2015, this figure used to be close to $300,000. And I've always felt it important to wean the town off of that as we kind of redevelop our tax base. So you'll see that this coming year, that number has been dropped down to 130,000 for the budget going forward. The economic development budget in the white page is primarily various budget amounts that we put together for economic development, a lot for highway, and again, some of the community programs that we've done in the past. But I want to draw your attention to recreational trails. Recreational trails is an approved category to spend TIF money on, approved both by the state and by the town. And Somerset Woods trustees has approached the town to help them with some of this TIF money for a project that they're doing, and I think I put that in your packets. They want to create a parking area off of Route 43 that ties into the Weston Woods and Waters trails. So right now, one of their tie-ins is you go down Weston Avenue, and once you get past the Noise House, that you can park a little bit and get onto the trails there. And one goes down the boat landing, one goes up into the Weston property. That Western property also pigtails over to Route 43. They've acquired some more land out there, and they'd like to make a very large parking area and really drive all of the hiking traffic to that parking lot. And so what they're proposing is to do about a $70,000 project. It's not going to be paved, it's going to be just kind of laid out there. School buses can fit in there to turn around and so forth. So they have presented this budget that includes revenue from several different sources, and they would like to know if the town would be willing to put $10,000 of TIF money toward this project. So that I included in this economic development budget. So I just wanted to see if there was any thoughts or questions or concerns from the board. I do have a couple other things to cover.
Mr. Mayor.
On the Somerset Woods, probably not everybody realizes that the library gave them the Jacobs Pines in East Madison. With that, they got money from the wood that was cut off them. And in their charter, they have that option to cut wood and sell it and use it on their property.
Yeah.
And I think the town has given them enough, along with tax exempt property also, we give every year, and they still want more. It's only my opinion.
Rudy.
What did you say the total was going to be that they're going to use?
The total amount of money?
Yes.
71, almost 72,000.
And this is off in 43?
Yeah, just before you get to River Road.
Okay. It's mostly all field.
Right.
Well, it's quite a ways, it's probably closer to town than it is to River Road.
It must be somewhere around where that guzzle is.
It is, it's just before that on the left.
On the left?
Yeah.
Where the
so-
snowmobile trail used to go
Yes,
through?
right there, it's an old wood landing.
Is there a little post with a chain on it?
There used to be, I don't believe it's there now, but they've been doing some work in there, so I don't think there's anything across the road now.
All right, so what we're looking for is a motion to accept the economic development budget, and you can tell me what you wanna put for a figure, and then we don't need, the left-hand side's been done,
Left-hand side's done at town meeting, right.
so. Mr. Manager.
I'll make a motion for $443,000 minus the $10,000 for Somerset Woods.
We have a second. Second? No second? Motion has failed. Looking for a different motion.
Make a motion that we approve the $453,000 for the economic development budget.
Is there a second? I'll second it just for
just for fun.
Okay.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
Smoody, I'll ask you in a second.
You're saying they're putting a lot of money into this parking area and what have you. Is it, do you know whether or not that this area gets that much use? It doesn't, to me, I don't seem to see much activity in that area for all the money that they're putting in there.
I don't know if there's many avid hikers in the room, but that doesn't mean that there are not a lot of avid hikers in our community or people that travel to our community.
Well, I know
For
that,
But I'm just saying, I have yet to see much activity anywhere in that area that goes along with recreation.
I see a lot of people in
Okay.
the river trail and the off Weston Avenue. I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, you have quite a few people that, in Madison Matters, that talk about it. I mean, Bob Abbott and
yeah.
Barbara Santiago and those people. I mean, a lot of people do travel that, and a lot of
See,
people
I
come here from
I
other
don't know
places.
this, I'm willing to listen.
Yep.
Abbott and Santiago and Ernie Hilton, and there's a whole bunch of people that use it. The kids use it, I believe, don't they, for cross-country? The
Not
river
yet,
trail?
no.
They have,
Some, no.
Because I
Just
thought
mostly
they had.
people walking, no.
oh, okay, because I've used it,
Yeah.
I enjoy it, it's a
Yeah.
nice hike.
Yeah, we do have quite a few people that do use it, but now, when they're building this parking lot, do they have to go in front of the planning board to build this thing, or they can do exactly what they want, or?
They've already gone to the planning board to kind of tell them what they're intending to do, and the key is 10,000 square feet. If what they create as an impervious surface with either gravel or pavement, but I think it's mostly gravel, if they create something that exceeds 10,000 square feet, then yes, they'd have to go before the planning.
That's less than that, they don't have to.
Correct.
Yeah, Mr. Moody?
If this development takes place, who's gonna maintain it?
Somerset Woods trustees.
So it ain't gonna be a responsibility of our road
That
commission?
is correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstaining?
I don't know, so I'm gonna abstain, because
So we got 1-1. I don't, yeah.
So what would help to decide this matter?
Yes, Mr. Webb?
Because there is some doubt in this group, I would think that it would be really neat to have Ernie Hilton or Bob Abbott or someone come in here and talk to us about it, because it's an awesome piece of property, and it does get used, and I feel $10,000 is not a lot of money to put into it. I know that we're exempting taxes and all that, but, you know, we also, you know, need these things for children to use and for people to get out and recreate. And it's beautiful along the river.
And Mr. Moody?
If this should happen to take place, you say that it's gonna be their responsibility to maintain, okay? And then, are they gonna come back to us in another year or 2 years and say, we need help maintaining this? I mean, these things don't snowball, and we got quite a bit of money we're spending right down the road here to the recreational fields and stuff. You know, I'm not against it, I'm just not convinced that it's not gonna snowball and come back and keep asking us for more money, and more money to help them out. You know, that's my thought process. I'm not against it, but.
I think, in light of all of this, I think we should have them. I think we should have somebody from Somerset Woods, and we should have,
So I guess I have a question, Jackson.
Might be a stupid question, but couldn't you guys divide into 2 payments to see if the progress you like is good enough for the second payment?
I could probably. I don't know if they need it all at once, but
I'm not sure.
that'd probably be a good, so can we subtract that out and approve the 443? And so the rest of the budget goes through and we can approve that later? Would that be okay?
It certainly would. I mean, I don't have an issue with it. as far as administration.
I'm not really against the project, I just feel that we've given them enough, and we give them every year because they are tax exempt. And it doesn't matter, you give them 10,000 this year, they'll be back some other time for another 10,000. Talked to someone from MEW, and they have people every winter that can't pay their light bill until they get their oil paid for. And they expect that number to double this winter. Same way with CMP. I'd rather give that $10,000 to people to pay for heating oil than to put it into gravel.
Well, if you'll allow me, before you do a motion, I want to address that. Things like general assistance and heating oil and that sort of thing, you cannot spend TIF dollars on that. The state's very clear. Can't give it to the school, can't build playgrounds, can't use it for general assistance. So, I talked with Kim Moody today, she gave me some final numbers on general assistance. That little sheet that I laid on your table there with the yellow stripe on it, that's to Mr. Manter's point. So, over on the far left-hand side are the categories that we spend general assistance money on. Rent assistance, food assistance, heating oil, utility bills, medical including burials, and personal care. In the middle column there, that's a total amount we've spent over the last 6 years. Not this year, the last 6 years. So for example, the most commonly used category is rent assistance. We've had 95 claims, we've paid out $45,000 over the last 6 years. So that's an average of 16 rental claims a year for $75.91 a year total. So if you divide $75.91 by 16, you'll get an idea of like $400 or $500 of what we're paying rent assistance for. So you go down to that highlighted one, the second most popular category, popular is not the right word, but the most used category is heating oil. 88 claims over the last 6 years, $21,000, an average of 15 for an average of $3,600. That's about $240 per claim for heating oil. And we generally, with general assistance, only give 100 gallons. So if you think about that, that's $2.40 a gallon, where now it's double that. So to Mr. Manner's point, that is going to be a great concern. Kim's done a great job facilitating this, and she's used some small grants that she was able to get for $1,500, $2,000 to help people outside of this that don't qualify for GA. GA, you have to be right down to the bottom of money coming in. So people that don't qualify for that, Kim has used some of her grant funds to help other people here and there that aren't reflected in these numbers. So we received notice last week that we received a $10,000 grant from United Way. And there were 3 categories that we could use it for. Use it for all 3 if you like. Food assistance, heating oil assistance, and emergency shelter. I didn't think that we were set up to do any emergency shelters. We have 2 food cupboards in town, but the heating oil thing is what I checked off when I applied. So there'll be $10,000 in United Way money that will be added to Kim's grants that she can use to assist people, because you're right, you know there's going to be people that are going to need $500 just for 100 gallons, maybe more. So that's what I wanted to report back, because you had brought that up as a concern at the last meeting. And so we do have funds for that, and you can supplement that with some of the ARPA funds. But this $10,000 grant gives us hopefully enough for this winter, and then if it seems like it's going to persist, then we can bring the ARPA funds to town meeting and say, we want to add these to our fuel assistant funds, and do that going forward. So that's what I'd like to report as far as that project for heating assistance.
All right, so can we get a motion to approve $443,000 for the TIF accounts and then deal with the $10,000 after?
I just have one question. How many times can they come back, people come back and get?
So I'm not an expert on the GA process. Tammy might know better than I, but I believe that every time they get assistance, they can't come back for 30 days, and they have to follow certain rules about employment, seeking employment, that sort of thing.
all indications are that we're gonna have a real cold, hard winter this winter. Is that gonna be something adequate that we can meet these needs? I guess I should ask you, Tammy.
For the 10,000?
Yeah,
General assistance, there is no budget. The state will reimburse you 70%. So you even though we're spending out, 10 to 20,000, we're getting 70% back.
so that will be adequate for
And there's no
the
budget,
season?
there's no cap for a budget. You can go over that budget from town meeting. You don't have to bring it back from voters. We haven't had a hard season. I think the last time I saw it extremely high was maybe 35,000, and that was back in 14 and 15. So it's been low.
We have no idea what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
Other than,
Right,
yeah,
everybody's budgets were built on like $3 a gallon. So, the other thing is, the federal government has pumped a lot of money into KV cap. And so, if you don't qualify for general assistance, many times you do qualify for heat assistance through KV cap. They have more money to spend over the next couple of years. But again, that was a lot of COVID relief money back when oil was $3 a gallon.
I just had a question on the rec trails. I think it's great to fix the Western Avenue and make that project good for Somerset Wood trustees, but we have to look at our Preble Fields. We do have a rec trail there also that needs a lot of work. There's a lot of grown brush that's in there, needs more gravel. I think we need to look at building that up too, instead of just helping other entities. So.
That, you know much about those trails. I know those trails used to wash, and they would come in and repair them, and then they'd wash out the next year, and they'd come in and repair them. Is that still going on, or have they solved some of the water?
Yeah, Jeff and I were just down in there maybe a month ago now.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's, everything is overgrown in the entrance. Some of the trails, when you go back toward the backfields, there's some washout down in there. I'm not sure what maintenance, it'd be more for Jeff.
Those
you know.
two ball fields, not the softball fields, the other ones way in are just, they haven't been mowed for probably all summer. Some of the grass there is that high. The trees beside them have gotten overgrown and are starting to lead into the road. The parking lot down by the football fields that was built, we hauled some gravel in there last year. It's just all torn up, and that was part of the discussion, about policing. There is quite a bit of work that could be done down there. It's just finding the time and the money to do it. Usually what happens if there's money left over, Chris and I talk back and forth, we'll haul some gravel down a couple 100 yards or wherever to finish his budget up to take care of the roads, what we can, what we have time for. We also have, the rail trail coming into town here that's gonna run all the way from Greenville all the way to Oakland, which is plenty of places to walk and run, ride your bike. There's plenty of other places to put, some of this money. My suggestion would be give them $5,000 and leave it at that, and we put $5,000 into something else.
sounds like you need $5,000 down there.
probably sounds like you need 10,000.
Yeah, I think so.
So, I go along with that, fixing that up. I don't wanna lay it onto you to do it, but.
Well, that goes
somebody-
back to, finding the time and the manpower to do
Right,
it.
so if we have to hire out somebody, then we have to check
Exactly.
to see if we can get it more up to date. I'm sure Chris would be okay with that. Must be somebody up there.
That's one of the things I've always thought is recreation never had a budget to do this repair work, and they should have. And I don't have a problem putting that $10,000 down there for our rec.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you wanna change that to Preble Avenue Fields?
I can. And just, anybody can make a request. And usually if it's a reasonable request, I bring it to you and you do just exactly what you did tonight, you just kinda hash this out. So it's fine with me, I don't have a horse in this fight.
So,
But
the
I
only
do,
thing that-
I just do know that Move More Kids, which is the arm of New Balance that is usually funded through Somerset Public Health and Christie LeBlanc. They have some funds, and I was surprised I didn't see those funds listed on Somerset Woods trustees' list of revenue. So that's what I'm gonna go back to Ernie and other folks and say, you know, it may not be the town's funds, but I know that Somerset Public Health has funds that they could use through this project, so.
And I wanna make sure we, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just have a quick question with regard to the wreck down there and the fields and all that. Are they receiving a lot of use? Or obviously if they're all grown up, they're certainly not.
It does receive use, it just that we don't have, as Glenn said, we don't have a budget line that says, this is how much you're gonna spend fixing the road. I mean, the roads can be, there's some work on the roads that can be done. I mean, they've done, Jeff and Glenn first have done a great job with it, but they just can't keep up with it. And I don't wanna put this $10,000 onto for Jeff and make him do it. I think we need to find somebody to go through and have Chris, I don't want to work on him, but have him assess what he wants to, what he sees as being the biggest need.
Well, maybe we should have a maintenance budget for that.
And maybe that's something we should come up with for next year.
Throw money into it and just have it, so.
Yeah. I mean, we do have some great fields, the 2 softball fields, you go in there, they're well taken care of. After that, I mean, they didn't play baseball down in the 2, so what would it be, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe 5, 6 fields. They did play baseball in those. So the last time I was there, other than the parking lot being a little tore up, that was fine. But those 2, field 3 and field 4, I mean, they're in a tough area because the sun never gets there and it's very wet all the time.
And it needs to be open up right there too.
Right, a little bit.
More,
So I
everyone.
mean, I'm sure with a few bucks here, you can get that fixed, and get it going. I mean, I would let Chris run with that.
What?
You know, let him loose with 10,000, I don't know, but we can try. Yes, Mr. Booty.
I guess I don't understand, if this process has been going on and it hasn't been, why hasn't somebody come to us and said, we need some maintenance money for upkeep?
I'm not gonna, I let Tim answer, but I will throw my 2 cents worth in because everybody's trying to do it on the cheap. And they're trying to, oh, Jeff, come in here and throw a couple yards of gravel down, smooth it out, see if we can get by. I mean, everybody's trying to do it so they don't have to create this line. I would say, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but.
No, that's right, and even when Glenn was road commissioner, if we had a day or a couple days, we did, you know, quite a bit of work down there, tree trimming, widening the road in a couple spots, so, because you gotta remember, those trails were made for walking, not driving. So, yeah, we spent a lot of time down there between Glenn and I.
But, I mean, now that manpower's down, and you don't have the time, and so, I mean, I think we gotta create a maintenance idea.
Either that or we're gonna lose it.
Right, and so if we can make it part of this TIF, I mean, at least will get us through a couple of years with, you know, 10,000 this year, maybe 10,000 next year, and get it up to where we need it to be. I think everybody's just trying to do it on the cheap and get done with it. I mean, get it so it looks okay, but still not spend too much money.
Well, it ain't happening.
Well, I know that. Yes, Mr. Gope?
I spent a lot of time down in the spring, more than I should have, I guess, but anyway, yeah, the first thing they said, we gotta get Glenn down here, or Jeff down here to take and bring the grader down here and grade it off, and then we need Jeff to come down and do, and it's not just Jeff's job to do this. It's, you have to hire somebody to do it, because they've got, when you go down the baseball fields, down in through there, I park my truck on top of the hill, and my wife and I walk down to whichever field it is, because there's just bad parking down there. They park on both sides of the roads, and in between the 2 baseball fields, there's just not enough parking space.
So if we approve this tonight, I think we ought to have Chris assess what he needs, what he thinks his top 3 or 4 things are, and find somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And down the road, we need to make sure
Right.
there's money available. I
Right.
think we should set up a maintenance account or something
That
for
was
that.
very good idea,
Throw
Mr.
money
Manta,
at it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Manta, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll look for a motion to approve $453,000 for the economic development budget with line 540340 as Preble Avenue Fields.
I'll make a motion that we approve 453 Rutubble Avenue as the recreational trail.
I'll second that.
All right, seeing no other questions? Seeing none? All those in favor? All in favor, motion carries. And I would say just express our concern for the parking lot, but we're gonna pass.
I'll pass it along.
All right, number 3, discuss matching grant payment request, R&B Home Source.
So last year in July of '21, you approved a grant for Renee Bristow at R&B Home Source out there at Clouds Corner. That paving work's been completed, and she is looking for a matching grant payment of $4,850.
Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion that we award the grant money to R&B Home Source.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to award the grant money of $4,850 to R&B Home Source for work done. Any other questions? Seeing none, all, oh, I'm sorry, Stanton.
Yeah, I know we all voted for this, but is this grant program getting to the bottom of the barrel? I mean, this merry-go-round's only so big and only takes in a certain amount of people. Do we need to make some changes?
So this, what you're authorizing now is from 2021.
No, I understand that.
And this is there's only one more outstanding award. So this is the next to the last one. Al Dixon with Fonzos had an award from last year, but he only has till July 30th to do anything. So I don't know if he's been able to get any of that work done. So that will just lapse, and that money will go back into the TIF account. So the one that is right now, applications are being taken. And we've got some interest from a wide variety of people. That program is being funded by the $35,000 of ARPA funds. And so that round will be going, it'll come before you in August, at the first meeting in August. So that will be another round to approve and pay out. If the board wants to take a hiatus from this program and stop it for a while altogether, which we have done in the past, after we do this round, that would be the time to discuss that.
Yeah, no, I question, I guess, with everything going on, I just feel like we're just doing parking lots mainly, and I think we need to do something above parking lots. You know, the main object of it was for beautification on storefronts, and now we're doing parking lots, and I think you ought to cross parking lots off the list, is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm good with this.
All right, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries. All right, select board's concerns. Mrs. Black? Mr. Gopin?
No, but
Yeah, here's an hour.
I brought my newspaper movie. So the article's right here. But yeah, and, so we're going to discuss this, I assume, further, right?
This being,
This article, and the paper has to do with the money between homestead and people over 65 and things like this.
I can bring you all the information, but there's nothing for the board to approve.
I just sent you the email that he sent me, so you have that on your email, should be sent to all.
As far as I'm concerned, this is a state law that all municipalities have to follow.
Right, and the way I read it, I thought it was gonna start by August 8th, and go, you have to have your application filled out and turned in before December. I think that's what.
Right, so that would logically realize that most everybody would get their tax bill for '22, and then they say, oh, okay, I don't wanna pay more than this amount, and then I'm gonna apply in December.
And then the legislation was saying that they will pay up to 50%, depends on how much is being spent.
I don't know, I don't know the details.
Well, I don't either, but that was in the article.
Again, I will bring you all the information that we get.
Yeah, we don't have, there's no information. Nobody has, this is snuck up on everybody.
Seems like there's a certain percentage of the board that's really interested in this age-appropriate tax thing.
Only four.
But, it does not help you if your taxes go down.
No,
If your taxes go down, it doesn't help you a bit, so I guess apparently you can get your tax bill and then apply.
Well, that's, if you can apply till December, then you look at your tax bill and say, okay. But again, it's one of those things that we'll have to work out. If you recall, when Governor LePage was in office, they passed a bill that said if you foreclose on a property
Right.
and you're over 65 years old, the town can't sell that property because you have to go through all these steps because the person is of certain age. Fortunately, we haven't run into that, but we have to look carefully at every foreclosure that we do to make sure that we're not violating that law. And that's been around 5 years now, 4 years.
Right. We need more information on that before we can do anything.
Unfortunately, the paper sometimes throws out all this information and everybody scrambles and we just don't have all the facts.
Mr. Lee, anything?
No, you've heard it all from me. Chairman?
The only thing I'd like to say is I'd like to compliment our SRO, Chelsea, for a great bike rodeo she had on Saturday. If you notice the parking lot, it's a little rough. Hopefully it's gonna rain soon, it'll take all that stuff away, but no, they had a big turnout and they had some people, they had a good time, the kids had a good time.
Good.
So, to compliment her, and maybe we can send her a little note and say thank you.
Excellent.
maybe we give her one of these.
What's this all?
Any citizens' concerns?
They brought it to the town.
Citizens' concerns? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and second to adjourn, all those in favor? All in favor, the motion carries, we adjourn at
Great
7:20.
morning, Doc.